In this video, we're going to look at Qwilr's ROI calculator and how it can help you close more sales. First, let's talk about why ROI calculators are awesome. Data shows that 74% of buyers will choose to work with the sales reps who can demonstrate the value of what they're selling. That's exactly what the ROI calculator does. It lets you paint a clear, interactive picture of what your client will gain from working with you. This picture can represent any kind of value that you offer. Maybe it's cost savings or time savings or labor saved per month. The possibilities go on and on. Your client will be able to move this slider and see the calculations happening in real time. They can even make changes to help them see the picture more clearly. And you can customize every part of the display. It's a powerful way to show that you understand your client's needs and how best to meet them. So let's dig into how you'll set up this calculator for your client. The first thing you'll need to do is decide what kind of value you want to show. Will your client save some cost or labor by working with you? Will they earn more profits? Will they gain more leads? This will be the basis of your calculation. For this example, I'm selling a software app to sales teams. My software allows them to spend 50% less time with each lead. I want to show my client how many hours her team could save each month with my software. I've talked with my client and I've learned a couple of key numbers. The average number of minutes that her team is spending with each lead now, and the average number of leads that her team handles each month. I'll be plugging these values into the ROI calculator. I have a Qwilr proposal in progress here, and I'll add the new ROI calculator. There's some sample data here already, but I'll be adding my own. I'll go ahead and add in my definition of the main value point here, which is the number of hours each sales rep saves per month. Next, it's time to add the components of this calculation. We call these variables. In every ROI calculator, one variable is in motion. We call this the slider variable because it's attached to this slider that my client can move around. I'll set up that slider variable first. For this example, I'll use the number of leads each month because the more leads that my client team works with, the more time that they'll save. This will be a great variable for my client to move around and see the effect. I'll give my slider variable a definition of leads per month. And I'll use the data that I gathered from my client to set the minimum and maximum range for the slider. I can also set a starting point for the slider and an increment. That's how much the numbers change as the slider moves. Now it's time to open the calculator and enter the other variable. That's the average amount of time spent with each lead. According to my client, her team spends between 30 and 60 minutes with each lead. So I'll add those numbers as the minimum and maximum for this variable. The reason that I'm adding a range here is so that my client can play around with this assumption. But we'll talk about that more in a moment. As a starting point for this calculation, I'll use the midpoint of the range, or 45 minutes. That's all the variables I'll need for this example. You can use as many variables in your formulas as you need, and you can update them at any time. With my variables in place, it's time to set up the formula that calculates them together. If you've ever written formulas in a spreadsheet, this tool works in much the same way. And if you're new to writing formulas, we have a separate video about that. I'll click to open the formula field. I want to show that 50% reduction in overall time spent with each lead. So first, I'll add the variable for the amount of time spent with each lead. Then I'll add an operator for multiplying, and then I'll add the other variable, the number of leads per month. Remember, that's our slider variable, so that's how it's going to show up in the formula. From here, my formula needs a couple more calculations. Since my variable for the average time spent is in minutes, and the result that I want to show is in hours, I'll need to convert the minutes to hours, so I'll divide it by 60. And then finally, I need to show the 50% reduction in time spent, so I'll multiply by 0.5. With all the parts of my formula in place, I can now drag the slider to see that monthly time savings grow. My client will get a good sense that with the time that they'll save using my software, they'll be able to close more sales. This calculator will be interactive for my client. So in this space, I can add some notes about the assumptions or even describe the formula that I'm using. Let's open my client's view of the page so we can see what my client will be able to do. When I present this to her, she'll be able to click and open the calculator. Here's my personalized message inviting her to change the minutes per lead. I also reminded her that that range of 30 to 60 minutes comes from our earlier conversation. My client can now change that time estimate to any other number within that range. If she's decided that her team is spending more like 55 minutes with each lead, she can add that number and see how the results change. It's a great way to help her see the value of my service. And as a final step, I'll add some styling. If I want a simple presentation, I can add a solid background color. I can also change the color of the slider so that it stands out. For even more impact, I can give my calculator a photo background instead. I can use one of Qwilr's stock images here or one that I've uploaded. And then I can add a color tint or even change the focus so that the text is easier to read. I'll also change the slider color. And that's it. I'm all set to present this page to my client and close that sale. And if you ever have any questions about this or anything else, please reach out by emailing help@qwilr.com or by using the help button in your account.